the New York Yankees, the LA Lakers, the Montreal Canadiens, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The most decorated, most successful, the greatest franchise in NFL history. Until the year 2007, when they ushered in the Mike Tomlin era. A period of mediocrity and underachievement. So strap in, Steelers Nation, as we highlight the reasons why it's time for the organization to turn the page on the Mike Tomlin era. On January 22nd, 2007, Mike Tomlin was hired by the Pittsburgh Steelers at the age of 34, at which point his career resume highlights were 1 year at the University of Cincinnati as a defensive backs coach before making the jump to the NFL as a defensive backs coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 4 seasons. He then worked as a defensive coordinator with the Minnesota Vikings for just 1 year before being handed the keys to, at the time, the best franchise in Super Bowl history. Tomlin inherited a Steelers team plush with talent, which was just 1 year removed from winning the Super Bowl in 2005. He leveraged all of that talent early on in his Steelers tenure, making the playoffs in his first full season and then winning the Super Bowl in just his second year, aged 36 season. But was that Tomlin or the team and coaching staff which he inherited? A coaching staff which included legendary defensive coordinator and Pro Football Hall of Famer Dick LeBeau, with an assortment of perennial All-Pro and Pro Bowl talent, which included 5-time Pro Bowler Casey Hampton, 2-time Pro Bowler James Farrior, 5-time Pro Bowler James Harrison, and 8-time Pro Bowler Troy Polamalu. On the other side of the ball, the 2008 Mike Tomlin Super Bowl team had Bruce Arians as the offensive coordinator and an ascending Ben Roethlisberger coming off that aforementioned Super Bowl win 2 years earlier. Tomlin siphoned all of that talent and maximized his success early on in his Steelers tenure with that ready-made Super Bowl roster. In his first 4 seasons with the Steelers, Tomlin made the playoffs 3 times, won 5 playoff games, and went to 2 Super Bowls, winning 1. In the 10 years that would follow, Tomlin would make the playoffs just 6 times, won only 3 playoff games, and appeared in no additional Super Bowls. 3 playoff wins in 10 years? 3.
9 times.
No, Ed, not 9, 3. In a decade. You heard that properly. However, I must think that the proverbial cupboard must have been bare from a talent standpoint. Well, not exactly. Mike Tomlin has had arguably the best talent the NFL has to offer over the last decade. In the last 10 years, the Steelers have had 20 players make the Pro Bowl, and they have combined for 52 total Pro Bowl appearances between them. No one in the NFL has more over that time frame. For comparison's sake, the New England Patriots over that same span are second in both of those categories, with 19 individual Pro Bowlers combining for 51 Pro Bowl appearances. The Patriots have leveraged that talent to win 16 playoff games over those 10 years and make 5 Super Bowl appearances. This is all while, remember Steelers fans, you have won just 3 playoff games and appeared in 0 Super Bowls under the inept shepherding of Mike Tomlin. But look, I get it. With his perceived early success with that Super Bowl, as well as his relatively good track record in the regular season, how do you feasibly make a coaching change? Well, Steelers Nation, look no further than the Green Bay Packers. In 13 years as the Packers head coach, Mike McCarthy amassed a pretty similar looking resume to Mike Tomlin. McCarthy was 125, 77, and 2 in the regular season and 10-8 in the playoffs, winning one Super Bowl in his 5th season. Tomlin, in 14 years now as the Steelers head coach, is 145, 78, and 1 in the regular season and 8-8 in the playoffs, with one Super Bowl in his 2nd season. McCarthy, however, given the subsequent talent of his roster, as well as the expectations for a historical NFL blue blood, underachieved greatly in his tenure. So too has Mike Tomlin. Ask yourself this, Steelers Nation. If the Green Bay Packers do not put up with this kind of underachievement, then why do the Pittsburgh Steelers? Oh, because the Steelers never fire coaches. Because the Steelers have only had 3 coaches since 1969. Chuck Noll was hired in 1969 at the age of 37. Over 23 years as the Steelers head coach, Noll had a 16-8 playoff record and won 4 Super Bowls. When the talent pool dried later in his career, the Steelers floundered, making the playoffs only once over Noll's final 7 seasons. So he decided to take his own advice and move on with the next phase of his life, leaving the cupboard pretty bare for 35-year-old new hire Bill Cowher. Ardent Tomlin supporters, or at least defenders, will point to Cowher's tenure and how ownership stuck by him through the struggles. However, Cowher took over a team lacking in the elite pieces he would ultimately leave his successor, namely at the most important position, quarterback. In 15 seasons as head coach, Bill Cowher had a 149, 90, and 1 record in the regular season and a 12-9 playoff record with 2 Super Bowl appearances and 1 win, which is as successful and very arguably more so than what Mike Tomlin has achieved. In fact, Bill Cowher led the Steelers to 8 division crowns as compared to Tomlin's 7, and Cowher navigated the Steelers to 6 conference championship games as compared to Tomlin's 3. And here is a list of the main starting quarterbacks by season that Bill Cowher utilized to go to 6 conference title games and 2 Super Bowls. Neil O'Donnell, Mike Tomczak, Cordell Stewart, Tommy Maddox, and yes, at the tail end of his tenure, a young Ben Roethlisberger, a Hall of Fame quarterback, which Mike Tomlin has had for his entire tenure. The reason Noll and Cowher before him were given a perceived pass for down years is because both of them built the teams that they would ultimately go on to win the Super Bowls with. Mike Tomlin has done nothing in his entire Steelers tenure other than squander the talent he inherited and then mismanage the talent that he received. But the Rooneys have continued to accept mediocrity, and that is what they are going to continue to receive as long as they employ the most overrated coach in the entire NFL. And newsflash, Steelers Nation, there is nowhere to go from here but down. Make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe to the channel for your weekly truth bomb.